Rich fans. We're here in New York City with Leslie from Ubon's Yazoo.
Come on, Rich.
Sorry. I'm a New Yorker, so I don't have that accent. And we also have Dave from Jubon's.
What's going on, bud?
What's going on, Dave? So today, Dave is going to give us some tips on how to make that perfect rib for the backyard. Dave.
Well, this is for you novice barbecuers out there, which is basically what I am. Leslie is certainly the pro. What you want to do with your rib is the first thing you want to do is you want to pull that membrane off the back of it, which a lot of people at home don't do. Cook them over indirect heat. Put your rub on, put your sugar on, let them sit out for a little bit. Cook them over indirect heat about 2.5 to 3 hours. Then wrap them in tin foil, put them back on for another 2 hours, and let them really steam in that goodness. Hit them with some sauce, put them back in without the wrap, and about 45 minutes later, you're ready for a perfect rib. Now Leslie's going to tell you what to do with a pork shoulder.
Leslie, why don't you tell us to do a pork shoulder?
About a pork shoulder,
Yeah,
maybe
sure.
a pork butt.
Yeah.
You need to find the reason I say that is because at home, the cooker you may have may be maybe a little small. So a pork butt works really well in that situation. So what we do, we use a Cajun injector. We're going to inject some Ubon's meat marinade. If you don't have that, you can call
Website,
me.
right?
Right, go to the website, get in touch with me. But if you don't have that, some sort of mixture of Worcestershire and soy, and then maybe orange juice, lemon juice, whatever it is that's your preference, goes into that injection, and you fill it. We use about 16 ounces of injection into a butt. That's going to go in at about 220 for anywhere from 12 to 18 hours.
Now, when we're talking about like a pork butt or a shoulder, like, you know, you go to the grocery store, you're not going to be like, oh, can I have a pork shoulder or a pork butt?
You can get a butt.
Okay.
Yeah, butts are easier to get at the grocery store. We have to special order our shoulders.
Okay, so you go to like a fancy, more upscale type of grocery store and get it. Okay.
Just your regular, I mean, we get some of our best meats from our cheap market.
I see.
Yeah.
Is there like a specific, like I was watching a video on the way up here about like the money part of the meat or the
money muscle is what it's called.
Exactly.
Right. We call it the Brian piece because my friend Brian is the champion of that. Myron, I believe, calls it the money muscle. But it's gonna be that backside. You got your bone on one end. It's gonna be the opposite end. That whole entire side, and it's beautiful. If you cooked it right, it will pull in about 1 inch pieces. It's beautiful.
Now, I know Leslie's gonna be like, Rich, we don't have any perfect sandwiches, but I just want to say that it's one of my favorite things in the world. You converted me. That's all I think about all the time. So next time I come to Memphis, we're gonna have to do it again because it was so really good.
That is a Memphis tradition, and so you'll have to.
I am hook, line, and sinker.
And if I can talk you into coming to our fire and feast contest in Yazoo City, Mississippi, I'll make sure you've got one there.
Okay,
There it is. The gauntlet has been laid down.
Fishing and I
The gauntlet has been laid down. So you got to be wondering what a Jubon is, right?
that was gonna be my next question. What is a Jubon?
So I'm from New York City. I'm originally from New Jersey. I live in New York City, and 5 years ago I was at this very event with my family. We were on the Bubba Fast Pass side, and I was eating my sandwich, and I looked up at Alan, which is that guy right in there. I looked up at Alan.
Hi, Alan. How are you?
And you know what? He was standing on this very trailer, and I looked up and I said, "This is the best thing I've ever eaten." And he said, "Well, you're eating it all wrong." And I said, "What?" He said, "You got to put the coleslaw on the meat, you got to put the sauce on top of the slaw and the meat, and eat it all as one sandwich." I was going separates. And I said, "Wow. All right, I'll get back in line. I'll get another one." He said, "You don't have to get back in line. Come on up on this trailer." Well, I got up on the trailer, and I've been hooked ever since. They're like family now. So they're Ubons, and we're Jubons, the Jewish Ubons.
I was about to ask
and we always say,
at least the salt is kosher.
and we say, at least it's all.
Now, when you were talking about preparing your rib, you were saying that you were removing the membrane. Now, it's obviously very slippery. So, do you have any tips for the backyard barbecue?
Yeah, the best way to get the membrane is you're going to turn the rib meat side down and bone side up, and either with an oyster knife or a butter knife
Or a screwdriver.
A A screwdriver works. A screwdriver works well. What you're doing is you're not cutting it off so much as you're peeling it off.
Okay.
And so you don't necessarily start at the end. Start in the middle. Just try to get your hand underneath it. Once you get your fingers underneath it, try to peel it off. The more you do them, the better you get at it. It's not easy at first, but it's not hard.
Well, I'm going to be tailgating at a professional barbecue competition, and they're going to make me do a rib. So I guess we're going to have to invite you down to DC to give me a couple of tips, because I have no idea.
It'd be my pleasure.
Awesome.
It'd be my pleasure.
Awesome.
Well, I'm going to give you one tip right now.
Oh, wow.
And this is the tip that Leslie gave me. I hope I don't get in trouble. When you're first preparing the rib, after you pull the membrane off, you're going to trim a lot of the excess fat off for competition, because the judges don't want to bite in and get a big mouthful of fat. They want all meat. And now when you're looking at your rib and you've trimmed all that fat off, you'll see a tenderloin, a strip of tenderloin going straight across the top. With a sharp knife in between the bones where the meat is, you want to score it just a little bit. And when the judge goes to pull that rib apart, it comes off, the meat comes off perfectly, and the tenderloin doesn't peel off, so you've got like 2 bones with a tenderloin of 3 other bones coming off that way.
You're going to have to show it to me, because as much as you can explain it, it's only better in person.
So I'll be there.
You have an open invitation down to DC.
I appreciate it. I'll be
Awesome.
there.
So where can people check you out on the web?
Jubons.com, www.jubons.com, and we're on Facebook. Hit us up.
And then Leslie?
I am at ubons.net. I'm also on Facebook, and my Twitter name is Ubon's BBQ.
Or Barbecue Princess?
Or Barbecue Princess. Barbecue Princess is if you want my personal rantings and ravings, and who doesn't?
I read them.
I read them all the time.
I mentioned it a few of them, so.
Well, Run with Rich fans, you got some great tips for your backyard barbecue from David and Leslie. And Leslie, it's always a pleasure, and you're always welcome down to come down to DC. Looking forward to seeing you again. Okay. See you guys later.